Speaking of food, did you know that the first French fries weren't actually cooked in France?
I could have guessed that. I think
they were cooked in Greece.
All right. Well. What the fuck? I can't believe I dove into that. That's fucked.
Sorry, I had that on my mind.
The first French fries cooked in Greece. God damn it. And that was a weird way to say it, and I even thought about that. I'm like, Greece? Why did he say Greece? This is we'll start with something that's a little older, but I feel like it's an evergreen topic because this is something that is a gripe of both of us, which is subscription services. I sent you a video a while back. I don't know if you watched it. It's fine if you didn't. There's Linus has a podcast. Linus from Linus Tech Tips has a podcast. They talked about how Pantone was going to have a separate subscription on top of the Adobe suite that would make it so you have to pay to use their color system. So Pantone makes watches. Like if you've gone to a hardware store, they make those little cards, but they make them for manufacturers so that when you're making a ton of something, they're all the same color and it's consistent.
Yeah.
So companies already pay like thousands of dollars for this to use their color standard. But they've always been supported in apps like Adobe Photoshop, InDesign, Premiere, all of those, and it's free. You don't need to pay extra. As long as you pay for Adobe, you've got the Pantone suite. Well, now Pantone has said that they want a separate thing where you have to pay them $3.99 for colors in software. And mind you, this is just like you can look up a hexadecimal value for all the Pantone colors and use them, and it won't cost you anything. So literally, if you use Google, you don't have to pay this $3.99.
That's stupid. What was it, $15 a month?
Where did you see that?
I don't know. I just looked up Pantone Adobe licensing.
Yeah, and that could be. I thought it was like $4, but yeah, I mean, possible.
Holy moly!
If you already pay like the Adobe suite, if you pay for all the apps monthly, it costs you $56.
So if you want a certain shade of lilac for your business, and you love that specific Pantone color,
yeah,
instead of having a Netflix subscription for your like cafe, you gotta pay $15 a month for the Pantone.
If you want it to be licensed with the Pantone logo. But also, like I said, you can go on to Google, say like I like this particular Pantone color, but I can't use it because of the subscription, and somebody has already found this hexadecimal code that will give you that same color, but it won't be attached to Pantone. And as they described this in the thing, that if you had a project before this happened that used Pantone colors, you would open up that project and all of the Pantone colors were replaced with black. So like they retroactively fucked up a bunch of people's shit just because of this. Yeah.
I don't know about retroactively doing it. I remembered like a few.
And this is projects, so if they've already exported, like obviously if they've printed something, it's not going to turn that black. But like, I mean, Adobe's used by big companies, and a lot of these companies were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
and a lot of those companies also just paid it because they're like, "I don't have time to deal with the politics of this. I just need it to be done so that."
And
it works.
I think that's probably why they did it. They just get away with it because it's more. Yep. Yeah, and people, it's shitty. That's what the subscription model is. It's like, hey, it's shitty, but people are just gonna not want to be confrontational about it. When in reality, here's a hot take: we could use a little bit more Karens in the world with this kind of stuff.
Yes. No, this is the type of shit that you definitely like. All of that Karen energy should go into problems like this.
Like that's why for the longest time, all those like gaming nerds on the internet, like we all made fun of them, right? But they were right. Now look what we got.
What?
Subscription services, like just nickel and diming for extra things.
Oh yeah, because like World of Warcraft is always.
But the nerds of the internet had held back a lot of subscription model shit for a long time, and I feel like that energy kind of just dissipates over time because it's hard work. It's hard work being an asshole online, and eventually they just get tired of it or they mature, and then they start just putting up with it. And now you get this in gaming too with the freemium model, but it's a little bit different than the freemium model. But how can you retroactively fuck up someone's shit when you've already paid for that initial product.
So the way the thing is with Adobe is these pieces of software are being used for projects all over the place, and you have no choice. Well, you have somewhat of a choice to not update to the latest version, but what they did is the next version of the software made it so you couldn't use those Pantone colors if you didn't pay for the subscription. So once you updated to the new version of the software, any project you had from older pieces of software that you tried to open in the new software, it would blank out all those colors. So like if I was editing a Premiere project and it used Pantone colors in whatever 14.6, and then they updated 14.7, if I opened that project in the newly downloaded 14.7, and those Pantone colors would just be black everywhere.
It's so stupid.
Yep.
It kind of reminds me of like when BMW, I don't know if they went ahead and went through with it, but I think this was a topic last year too, where BMW offered a lesser premium model, which is basically the same exact car as the premium model, but you had to pay for extra features as a subscription model for like certain things like the air conditioner, heated seats,
conditioner,
cruise control, things like that. Yeah.
What the fuck? Cruise control?
Yeah, when you've already bought the vehicle.
If it was,
but like you pay a subscription and it unlocks
heated seats makes sense because it's none of it makes sense. It's dumb. All of it's dumb. But heated seats I can almost see because that is a premium feature. But air conditioning? Conditioning is like the limited series has fucking air conditioning. I don't think it.
I'm gonna look
and cruise control. Cruise control is in like the base package for most cars, isn't it? Well, not yours. I guess I remember.
Yeah. Mine has roll of windows, and it's a brand new 2017.
Yeah, that's true. Dude, if they found a way to make it so you had to pay monthly for automatic windows, like they had the system there. Like, it's hardware. It's just hardware. It's not like it's a piece, like, because whatever. Yeah. All of the reasons. That's why it's dumb.
I was trying to look up like what all the features were for the premium subscription, but I really couldn't find it easily.
Yeah, but I remember the heated seats things in particular.
Yeah, it was definitely one of them was definitely heated seats. Monthly fee $18. See, they do this. They teeter that line of like bullshit or put up with it, like because like something like that, a BMW owner like that demographic is not going to care about $18 a month. But the premise of it to somebody who's not a BMW owner is silly, and it causes it to overflow into other markets. I don't know. Yeah. A lot of business talk going on here.
No, it's true. but I mean, you could. There's a similar thought in like regulation. So like if you're, if there's something that people use or whatever, or excuse me, taxes. If there's something that people use, the government's job is to balance taxing a thing in a way that supports the infrastructure around the thing from a government perspective, but also not making it so people don't buy that thing anymore or try to fucking get around paying for that thing. So like car registration. I mean, and nobody likes paying for car registration, right? I mean, nobody. Like if you could have a car legally and not have to pay that, you would. But also, I mean, like, they're balancing like social unrest. So you have to you can't make it absolutely ridiculous because then nobody will buy a car or nobody will register their car. So there'd just be a ton of people with unregistered vehicles and you couldn't possibly police all of that. So you have to balance those two things out. So that's like tale as old as time.
The registration of cars thing is a little different too, because like it helps keep shitty cars off the road. As like awful and elitist as it sounds, like you can't be having cars just like all over the place on the side of the road messing with your infrastructure either, because that messes with productivity. So and safety as well. Like you gotta, because like if you have unregistered cars, the likelihood of you keeping up on your vehicle maintenance as well has got to be kind of low too, I bet.
Yes.
So then you're not really passing safety, and then thus you're risking the lives of others that are innocent.
So that's the other thing.
Like, yeah,
that's another part of the balance. They have to make it so that it supports the infrastructure, but also is not to the point where it's hindering its citizens, so they don't fuck up the infrastructure just as much in that direction. I feel like if we're honest, at least for that system where we live, those prices are pretty fair. Like mid 2010s vehicle yearly registration is probably like $150. That's, I mean, it's not something you want to pay, but that's pretty reasonable. Like once a year, you got to come up with $150 for the government. Like, all right. And license registration, or license fees too. So like getting a driver's license, that's also like, yeah, you don't want to pay it. And when time comes around, you're like, fuck, I got to pay for this dumb thing again. But it's like, what, $50 every 7 years? Like,
Oh.
it's not awful, but then again, you're balancing what is, well, that's not that bad. Like, that's the optimal situation, is when somebody's like, Netflix costs $14. Well, I don't want to pay it, but that's not terrible. Like, that's where you want to ride. You don't want people to like it, because then you're probably not making any money. If it was $5 a month, Netflix would be like in the hole for so much money, so they have to go find a spot in between.
I've been rewatching episodes of Seinfeld, and it holds up, but there are definitely some things that have not aged well.
Oh yeah, has Seinfeld always been on Netflix?
For the last like couple years, I think. It's like remastered a little bit, so that way it like is in full HD.
It doesn't look like it's not a 4:3.
But no. Like they somehow made 4:3 look pretty decent in 1080, which I don't know how they did it, but it still retains that like 90s grainy feel at the same time. Like it doesn't ruin it in my opinion, but like of course purists are like, oh, it's not in 4:3.
It's weird. Who the fuck would people who complain about that? Their mom's on food stamps.
Oh, probably. Oh, I wanted to go over something too. I haven't really seen the latest debacle, and I thought that this could be a great way to go over it, is just you and I blindly reacting to this as like in real time together.
Okay.
But we all know that like Kanye West has like really kind of gotten unhinged after the last few years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know what exactly marks it, but it was probably the Joe Rogan podcast and afterwards where people were like, yo, this guy's fucking nuts. Mm-hmm. But and then he had the anti-Semitic tweets like a few weeks ago. I think it was like a month or two ago, and he lost all his brand deals and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then he was on Alex Jones of all people's podcast, and bro, apparently Alex Jones was the voice of reason. Now, when Alex Jones is the voice of reason, you know something's fucked up. So I've been holding off on seeing this, and I kind of want to look for it right now and like blindly watch like a little bit of it.
I just found a headline: YouTube to remove reposted clips of Alex Jones Kanye interview. So it looks like you might not even be able to find it.
Oh, dude, it was insane. He was talking about like he was in an Elmo voice, and he's like, apparently he did like an Elmo voice thing.
Who?
Another thing.
Fucking...
Yes, he did it. He was in like a black like beanie covered, and he did like an Elmo voiceover thing of like the government and things that control you or something. And then yeah, apparently it was just wild. Oh, also he was like, yeah, I'm like really into fashion, and you know those like World War II German outfits, right? And Alex Jones was like, yeah, but you don't agree. Alex Jones was like, yeah, but you don't agree with their policies, right? He's like, you know, not necessarily. And I was like, whoa. So dude, I want to actually see this.
Come on, like what?
Yeah, dude,
it's like
fucking
he's reading
wild.
the playbook on how to get people to attack you. Like, are you fucking serious? It sounds like some Richard Spencer shit.
Yeah,
I can't see this for anything other than like just desperate attention grabbing.
Yeah, it's probably to try to like boost sales for an album, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't see that helping your album, man. Like I don't know what platform is gonna let you release your album anymore.
I believe that he doesn't believe anything he's saying, and I think that he is trying to, like, through some kind of twisted logic, say that he is making the biggest like 5-brain play by causing a bunch of outrage and then saying, you know, that was all bullshit, go buy my album. Like, that's like, he's not, except without him saying that it's bullshit.
Yeah,
like he's just continuing to commit to all of the things, all the terrible things.
I can't find the clip with him talking like Elmo though, so we'll have to save that and possibly bring it out as a sound drop or something.
Yeah.
Oh, on that light note, have any good fall coffee flavors?
No, I'm super cheap.
Dude, I tried this caramel apple, it was like an iced macchiato, but it was like caramel apple. So they added like a caramel apple syrup instead of like a traditional vanilla syrup on it. Oh, dude, it was like sour, but like it had caramel on it. So, and it was made with like oat milk instead, so it still had that like frothy, like full feeling.
Oat milk is decent. Like
Yes.
I don't think I think almond milk is too watery, but oat milk really like it feels like it.
You're right. Like
gets
almond
better
milk's like the
frothy.
2% of the almond milk's like the 2% of the milk.
Yeah.
Of the milk
I don't know.
alternatives.
It might be full. It might be whole milk. Whole milk is so good. Like
Yeah, it is.
like for if you can handle it, like the
Fun fact: a traditional latte, just a latte that's made with whole milk, is called a flat white.
that's it. That's all that a flat white is.
Yep. That. So if you want to sound fancy, you just order a flat white, and it's just a latte with
Dude,
whole milk.
I think so. It just reminded me of a story when I worked at Target. They had, and we put the Starbucks in, right? I would go, and that Starbucks single-handedly got me into drinking coffee. Fun fact, like that being there was the whole reason I switched, or started drinking way less energy drinks and soda and started drinking coffee a lot. It was like right before we lived together. That I was getting black coffee, but I was behind this lady in the front of me. She worked at Target as well. She asked for a flat white. It comes out to her. She takes off the lid and says, "Why isn't it drawn on?" And they're like, "What?"
What? Like she wanted like a RT logo,
yes,
or something,
and
like a
it's
heart.
Yeah,
Man, this is Starbucks. Like you're
what
lucky.
are you fucking talking about?
You're lucky the right order's in the
And
cup.
she was upset, and it's like, you work here. You could have just asked. Like you could have asked for anything. But you thought you were really like clever, so you ordered a flat white. The thing is, she worked in an apartment where all of the rest of the people also worked at Starbucks. So like you literally could have asked, but you still were so arrogant, and like because you saw some dumb bitch
TikTok
like
or
order it
something
in a
on the
fucking
internet,
or no. I bet she read it in a Jordan Sparks novel. Like like that kind of vapid shit. Ugh.
Rip.
Yeah, and
Probably
like I don't
it's the same contents in the cup though that she ordered.
right. And it's like I'm not going to say be so like frou and like or not be so like elitist to say like, oh, everybody should just drink black coffee, blah blah blah. I'm okay with like fancy drinks. I think they're nice and like a nice treat. But people who order them every day, I'm like, come on, like you're not gonna get through life this way. It's not financially viable to like make a thing. Like you got to at least be okay with just creamer. But like people who can't get up and go to work without something with whipped cream on it, seek help. Like that seems like that's trauma. That to me screams trauma. Yeah.
I don't know. I've always like thought it was weird, like when people who are like wanting to try new foods, they're like, okay, well, let's go get some gyros, and I'm like, okay, you're right. Let's go get some heroes. But I'm not gonna like degrade them for saying gyros.
Yeah.
Like some people would, and then go make fun of people for not trying new food.
There's also a thing that like most languages have another word for something. Okay, so yeah, like gyro is the way to pronounce it and that's closer to the like Greek way to pronounce it. But like gyro is an Americanized version. Tons of countries have versions of those types of words that they say, and like accents are a thing. So why do Americans get berated for saying shit wrong when like, yeah, do you think that a Chinese person would say gyro? No, they would say fucking whatever the Chinese word for gyro is.
Yeah.
Like
no, because like I mean it's like I don't get on to like Latino countries for pronouncing Germany, Alemania.
Yeah. And Germany doesn't get on everybody else for calling it Germany instead of Deutschland. Like
When
that's
they're called Germany goes by like 500 things.
yeah. Okay. The German city Munich, right? That is not the name that Germans had for it. The German name for Munich is München. It's not even close. It's a completely different word.
Oh,
But
wow. Yeah, I didn't even know that.
We call it a German sounding name, but its real name is not that. It's another Korea, same thing. Koryo was like a really, really ancient term for that region, and all of the European countries just kept calling them what did I say? Koryo. And so they made it their own by calling it Korea, but the real name for Korean doesn't sound anything like that in Korean. I don't remember what it is, but it's something completely different. And like it's like calling Boston New England, or like it's like calling the region New England, just calling all of America New England, basically.
God, I want food for some reason. You said
I
Boston.
could
I
tell.
immediately was like, Boston cream pies?
Oh my god. Dude, I love I like that Varsity makes a new Boston cream, because that's what the first name for Manhattan was. I thought it was really neat.
New Boston was?
New Boston. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know
the
that.
first settlers here came from Boston, so they called it New Boston.
Instead, we
And
took
then- and then
another
it was- and then it-
northeast town.
And then like later on, I think there were a couple of New Bostons, so they wanted to be a little bit more unique, so they chose a different city.
Oh yeah, unique Manhattan. You know.
Yeah. But it was okay. If you're gonna name your town after a much larger town, you might as well
Yeah.
be unique in that.
Yeah, Little Apple kind of caught on a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Little Apple's cool. And like
Also-
that's the thing is like it's not just some fucking if Manhattan was one of those like one street towns, I would be like, go fuck yourself. Yeah, like you don't.
Like some Paris, Texas shit.
Yes. Or
Like, dude, what even is a Paris, Texas? I've never even looked this up. Let's check out. Let's have some fun facts of the day.
or
Paris,
York,
Texas.
York, Nebraska. York, Nebraska can go fuck itself.
Is Paris, Texas worth visiting? Well, this is probably some stupid travel page. Yep, it is. Okay, let's just look up Paris, Texas population.
Just gonna look up images.
Oh wow, they're actually not. Okay, never mind. I can't talk shit on that. 24,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
There is actually.
Okay. Yeah. Like, never mind. I rescind.
24,000?
I rescind my my insult. Yeah.
It's not
24,500.
It's at least somewhat legitimate.
Wow.
They
Is that
have
in
an
West
they have,
Texas?
They have an Eiffel
that in
Tower with
East
a little
Texas?
hat on top of it. That's stupid. I don't like that.
Oh wow, that's in north. That's northeast Texas. It's like by kind of close to the border of Oklahoma. It's almost near the middle of nowhere. It's one of the biggest towns in the region. Because it's like maybe an hour and a half away from Dallas. Wasn't that area like originally like? Oh yeah, it is. It's near a lot of native territories. It has a lot of oil refineries and natural gas. I think back in the day, there's a town around there that has this weird history, and that's why it's abandoned. And it I'll have to look this up later. But there's an abandoned town, and it's from a gas line or something.
York,
or there's
Nebraska
like
has 81,000.
or there's like
8,100.
or there's like a I don't know, either way, like everyone left the town because of like radiation or like a gas leak or something.
Oh, there's the town in yeah, it's like in like it's on the East Coast, but it's there was a fire in an oil well or something like that, and it's still burning underneath the town. So
Yes, that.
Because
Yeah, it was like 'cause
there's like
it-
cracks in the earth, and it's like
Yeah,
smoke comes up from over there because there's still a fire down there.
Yeah, it was something like that too, and that's in like either Oklahoma or
I don't think it's in Oklahoma. Like I said, I think it's closer to the East Coast. Yeah, coal mine. That is Centralia. It is in Pennsylvania. That's what I was thinking of. Maybe you're thinking of something else, but yeah, like the town.
Oh,
had to be
here.
evacuated because it's fucking. There's just
Yeah.
smoke coming
Well, yeah,
out
this-
of the fucking street.
Yeah, this one has the same thing. So it's Pitcher, Oklahoma. It was nicknamed the buckle of the nation's mining belt, but it's now the
Pitcher
country's
or
most
picture?
toxic town. Pitcher, Pitcher.
That's something. Okay, Midwesterners like to say that they don't mispronounce anything. Picture and pitcher. People like. I'm not saying you did it, but people do that. Like people who think that like like give people shit for having an accent and say the Midwest has no accent. That word always trips people up.
So they were looking for a crude ore. So it says what actually came out of the ground was crude ore, sediment rock laced with valuable metals. To break it apart, miners had to simply reverse the geothermal process that created it. So they crushed it and sorted the ore into nearby mills and then superheated it in a giant smelter to melt away any impurities. But
what about it? Like,
But
is
what
the
happened?
Is the town ghost town. So it's a ghost town, but it's not like uninhabitable. Oh, toxic. Fuck. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm catching up.
I forgot, like, I want to find the section where they actually, like, fully talk about it.
Mining stopped, ground became extremely unstable. Mine shafts would occasionally collapse, sometimes sucking entire houses or cars. The 206 report by the Army Corps of Engineers revealed that much of Pitcher was facing a major sinkhole danger due to mine subsistence.
And, like,
Mine subsidence. Goddamn.
And most of the old people that, like, stayed around got, like, asthma. And they're like, I don't see a problem with it.
Earlier study had revealed that 34% of children in Pitcher had elevated levels of lead in their systems, resulting into potential brain damage. So Pitcher was not exactly was not exactly topping any most livable cities lists.
Isn't that wild?
Okay, buddy. Okay.
Like, people will still live there. Like, but the lead can also affect, like, your IQ for, like, developing minds. So, like, memory loss, headaches, irritation, fatigue.
Yep.
You know, all the shit that I get on a daily basis. No, I'm just-
You know what else does that? Getting older.
yeah, for real. I don't know how we got here.
Yeah.
Dude, abandoned towns, man. I could talk so much about abandoned towns.
I would
but it
love
must be
to just go
must be a
around-
Kansas thing, right?
I would love to go around the country and just visit a bunch of them.
Oh, God.
But
I
I
could
feel
show
like
you
so
a few
does-
already in Southwest Kansas.
Right, I know. But like, yeah, I would love to. What me and Steven talked about doing once is going to. So there's this YouTuber that he and I follow called Shai who goes through Europe and hitchhike. He not hitchhikes, but he hops trains and will just travel without a passport or anything, and just go to places that are abandoned and like walk through them. He's like he's one of those people that will like trespass on the top of high buildings and like stand on the ledge and just look over and film himself with a GoPro while doing that. So he'll go to like old mining towns and go to the top of the fucking rickety iron mine shaft, stand up there with no railing, not holding on to anything, just standing on top of it and like look over. We thought about, we don't want to do that part, but we were thinking about like be interesting to like camp in a ghost town, just like find an uninhabited place and just like,
IRL Phasmo?
huh? Yeah.
Bring in EMF.
Dude, yeah. Big.
Can we act like Ghost Hunter
big
show?
Tangent, but this is something you'll enjoy, and I have questions about this for you, and it'll be interesting to see where this goes. So, mutual friend of the show, Jesse Leach of Killswitch Engage. No.
Oh yeah. He totally listens.
Yeah, he has a
He's
podcast.
a big fan.
He has a podcast, and so most of the time they just talk about music, and that's cool. But this one time he had an Eastern Orthodox priest on, and that priest talked about his multiple encounters and multiple exorcisms. And I was like, okay, okay, whatever. But Jesse 100% believes all of that shit. And I'm like, the thing is, the priest was a really down-to-earth guy. He was not a crazy person. I could tell that he said everything very sincerely, and he was like a relatively young guy. He was like maybe in his late 20s, maybe early 30s. And he also, at every stop, every question he was asked, he always said, these things happened. I believe that they are true. But also, 95% of what I do is not this. I'm not saying I'm an exorcist. I'm saying I'm a priest. Most of what I do is consoling families of dead people, or I'm going out and helping charities, or I'm going out and, being a decent person. So, like, I have trouble completely dismissing this guy because he was put together. He's not a crazy guy. So I'm like, And he has plenty of evidence of the things that he does in his community. So, like, he's not just, he's not some dude living in his basement saying he fucking, that he's Constantine.
I don't know.
It's very weird.
That whole, like, I don't even know much about, like, Eastern Orthodox as a religion, but I don't think they necessarily believe in that type of thing anyway. So that might be, like, that dude's, like, shtick.
Yeah.
Or thing.
Hard to say. From the way I understand it, Eastern Orthodox is basically Catholicism, but Russia.
Yeah, there's an episode of Seinfeld where George is dating this like really hot chick, and he's like, oh wow, this could like actually really work. So then they're on a date, and she just starts breaking down crying and goes, I can't be with you anymore. My dad says that you have to be Eastern Orthodox, and I don't want to put that kind of pressure on you, so we got to break up.
Oh my
God.
God.
And he gets the brilliant idea of like, oh, what if I just fake it and convert? So he goes through this whole process at an actual church to like do the whole thing, memorize it all the transcripts to do conversion, and then he goes through the conversion, and at the end of the episode, she's just like, yeah, I don't feel like seeing anybody right now.
Wow.
The dude experience in a nutshell.
Yeah. I'm willing to change my life entirely. Yeah, it just didn't work out.
Well, he was full of shit, too.
I was happy to lead him by the nose the whole time.
He was full of shit, too, so it's fine.
Yeah, but, yeah. And I'm sorry, was this... Who went through the process on the show?
George. George Costanza, the, short guy that's, like, balding?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? All right. If you would have said Kramer did that, I would have less empathy, but, yeah. Yeah, from the way I have understood it, I've actually watched strangely been watching a lot of religion history videos, and from what I understand, Eastern Orthodox is like, it is Christianity, but just very old-fashioned, like Catholicism, but it's a like Middle Eastern and like Russian blend of that. So, like, any Middle Easterners that are not Muslim are probably Eastern Orthodox or Jewish.
Uh-huh.
It's just Catholicism for the, like, East.
Interesting.
And I guess Africa as well. If they're African Christians, they're probably Eastern Orthodox. And because, like, Catholics were way too stingy to just let anybody in, particularly if you were not white. So, I've been in a espionage / computer crime mood lately with podcasts. Like, I have listened to... I am at work. I have a lot of freedom to just put on whatever I want, so I usually listen to podcasts. So, over the last, 3 weeks, I watched a podcast about the Silk Road and the FBI agent who took down the guy and, their methodology for catching them.
Oh yeah, I have no education on this background whatsoever.
Okay, do you know what the Silk Road is? Well, I'll explain it anyway. So the Silk Road was an online store for drugs, basically. It was on the dark net. You had to use special software to get to the website, and you had to know the exact URL. You can't just there's not a search engine that you can just find this shit. You had to know how to get there. And everything was in cryptocurrency. This is also in the mid to late 2000s, so there's not a lot of crypto going around yet. It's just Bitcoin, basically. but Bitcoin isn't easily traceable, so you can the store exclusively took Bitcoin. This guy founded it originally to be a place where people could buy drugs, but also like it was somewhat regulated. There were standards. It wasn't just it was more reliable than like local dealers because stuff was more consistent, and there was like it was a business. Like he ran it with people that would like fact check things, and like if somebody was an untrustworthy seller, they got banned or reported on the forums. So like it was a community that like wanted to protect itself, but obviously they were doing a lot of illegal activities. Into the early 2010s, it starts to get bloated with additional services like fake IDs and fake degrees and fake documents. So you can imagine the kind of so it's still
people were just like, yeah, I'm a doctor.
Right. So, it's meant for, it was basically mostly identity theft that was happening. It was tools to provide to people who were doing identity theft to steal money, to then buy drugs on the Silk Road. So they were feeding the economy. So the guy who founded it, gets unbelievably rich. He's got like a few million Bitcoins, which in the early 2010s was a lot of money. It's even more money now, but it was, he probably had like at least $100 million just in Bitcoin. So he's going right along, but there's this situation where a large provider of his messages him one day and says, hey, I am like, people I buy from stole a bunch of money from me, and I can't provide you with the stuff that I said I would, because rather than buying it, they stole a bunch of money from me, and I need money in order to get pay off the people that I was going to get drugs from or something like that. Leader of Silk Road says, go fuck yourself. And the guy is like, all right, well, I'm going to start posting identities of people that use the Silk Road, and being basically narking on you if you don't help me. And runner of the Silk Road's like, okay, you can still go fuck yourself, but now I'm going to send somebody to kill you.
Oh.
So he communicates with Hell's Angels and tries to, and all of this is correspondence that is that's a part of a message chat that's linked to the Silk Road website. So all of this is cataloged. They have all of these messages. The guy who runs Silk Road goes by Dread Pirate Roberts, from the Princess Bride. He that's his screen name on there, but it's actually this other guy. I forget his real name. He keeps saying like, I'm not giving you any money. You're not going to blackmail us because I'm going to have somebody kill you. Well, he says you're not going to blackmail us, and he's like biding time, but in the background he's giving people money to go kill him. And he thought he believes that he did have him killed. So there's some correspondence back and forth between the people that he talked to try and get him killed. They said they got him. All the while all of this is happening, the FBI has a bug, and what ended up happening is one of their guys became an admin on Silk Road, so he could see all of the correspondence. So they have a record of all this stuff happening. They needed something to actually go after somebody for, and this murder is a good way to do it. And they eventually found Dread Pirate Roberts logged in for just like a little while on an open IP. So they found that IP. They were able to trace it back to his house, and they arrested him. When they went to arrest him, this podcast I was listening to was the leader of the FBI team that got him. He said that when this guy got into the back of the car and they were taking him off to be interrogated, he said, I will give you $20 million right now to let me go. and that was in Bitcoin. So he's like, if I would have taken that, I would now be like a billionaire.
True.
Like if he would have taken that money in Bitcoin and left it there, it would be worth,
even with the recent crash of Bitcoin, like that's still a fuck ton of money.
Incredibly wealthy. Yeah. I mean, he was desperate and probably lying, and also they had already confiscated all of that, so like whatever.
Oh yeah. You'll say anything to get out of it in the moment.
Right.
And who's to say that person would actually follow up with what he's saying?
Yeah. That man was sentenced to, I believe, several life sentences. So I think it was like 5 or 6 life sentences plus 120 years or something like that. Just something just absurd.
Now here's a cool guy.
Yeah, but it's and he is, because if he was just running the Silk Road and they caught him and like, you know, he was charged with all of that drug trafficking, he may have still gotten out before he died. But it was because he had somebody, he contracted a murder. It wasn't just that he performed a murder. If he would have just murdered him, he might have gotten out before he died. But because he was like forming a conspiracy to have this guy put down, he was like all the drug charges, all of the murders, it was all pinned on him just because he wanted it to happen. All the intent, and that was just fascinating. And the guy, the FBI guy. On the flip side of this, the FBI obviously hasn't always been the most trustworthy organization, but this guy was like good, and he wanted to do, you know, a lot of good. The only way he could is in the cybercrime division, which is how they found this guy and eventually got him. But like he said, like their actual like boots on the ground guys it's just super corrupt. Like he didn't say that exactly, but he left the FBI because of politics. But if you've looked at other people's accounts of it, he left because they were able to get that guy because it escalated to more than just numbers on a computer screen. Like it was proven that he was not only moving drugs but having people murdered. So that's when they started attacking him. But they had been doing a bunch of monitoring on the Silk Road, and he would bring this to the FBI, and they were like, whatever, and like wouldn't do anything about it. So he was like, I wanted to, stop these people from, selling fake IDs. At some point, I think also it became organ trafficking. So like one of the things that he had to present was that they were selling infant livers on the Silk Road. Infant livers. Which is just like, holy shit.
What's the market for that? Like,
yeah, well
apparently there is one.
And that was a transaction, not a listing. So somebody bought it. So they found a transaction history of this happening. Not even like it was just on there for sale.
Dude, imagine just like going to someone's house that like is kind of sketchy, and then you're like walking around their house with a buddy of yours who's like closer friends with him, but you're not really cool with him. But you're just like walking through that house and you're looking around at all the cool collectibles he has. He's like, oh, this is a Mongolian sword, the little swiggle blade type thing. Yeah. And then this is, I don't know, this is a dehydrated pizza that Napoleon first tried or whatever. And I have it on display. And you're just like, wow, what a lot of cool, weird shit. And then all of a sudden you see this jar and there's a fucking liver in it. And you're like, dude, it's like, and then you're just like
inventory in his house. He was just managing
the. But yeah, you're just like, dude, what's with the Dylan's clearance on your shelf there? And he's like, oh, I got a baby liver. And you're like, what you need a baby liver for? He's like, I don't know, but I got one. And you're like, damn.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm going to.
Like, what are you doing with that? What do you? You'd have to display it, right? Like, I don't know.
I think the way the agent perhaps just naively thought was that, like, people, it's hard to get if you had an infant child and you were unbelievably wealthy and you had access to everything.
Oh, like, yeah, and your kid was like struggling or something, and you're just trying. Like, you're desperate. You're on that waiting list, and you're just buying it up, and then you're just like, hey, doc, I found one.
A lot of the times, I would imagine. No, I bet you there's crooked doctors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because doctors that only care about like profits, like
in various other places.
I'm sure it's cheaper to get it that way, and certainly don't have to wait that long.
I'm sure certain places would do it under the table, and they're like, "Hey, doc, I tripped outside and I found this baby liver with the same blood type. It's wild, but while we're here, I mean, we might as well try it out on my kid."
Right, because like in the moment, like the nurses around him that might not have been doing bad shit, he'll step in with the working organ, and they'll be like, "What the fuck? Where did you possibly?" And he's like, "Are you going to question me right now? We're about to save this infant child's life. Are you not wanting me to save this infant child's life?" And then they're like, "Well, fuck. All right, let's do it."
Imagine a nurse pushes up her glasses with like her gloves on. She does like the wrist up to the nose frame thing, so that way she can't like get germs on her hands or whatever. She pushes it up and goes, "But ethics."
Yeah.
Yeah, as if.
Right. Like, yeah, if you're in a room, we used to say in marching band, if everyone around you is wrong and you're right, turns out you're wrong. Because
which isn't true at all, but yeah.
No, but I'm saying, like, in marching
band,
if you're trying to make a shape on the field,
yeah,
and somebody's out of line, it's like, but this is the location in the little sheet that says where I'm supposed to be. It's like, yeah, but we're trying to make a shape here. So
do you remember do you remember the K-State thing? Where they played KU and the marching band. What the thing was is that they tried to make a Jayhawk, and then next to it was a Starship Enterprise like shooting the Jayhawk, right? But instead it looked phallic,
like a cock,
and it looked like the Jayhawk was just taking a big
fat dick.
And they're like, "No, it's a starship, it's a spaceship," which is like the time-old tale of little kids when they're making drawings in elementary school, and they get caught by the teacher, and they're like, "No, it's a spaceship. I swear, it's a spaceship."
Yeah, it's just it's just a veiny cock.
Yeah, it's a rocket. I swear. Hey, imagine the marching band. Oh, hey, but marching band, why does this have a huge vein on it? You had a squiggle line of trumpeters to display a vein. No, it's an oxygen tube that leads from one bay to the other, and
yeah, it's like, oh, really? You're getting into the details with your starship on the field
during a halftime of a football game. Yeah,
Jesus.